Hi everyone and welcome to yet another back to school video. So since I uploaded my first IB video, I've gotten a lot of questions regarding extended essay and how to choose a topic and how to work with it, etc. So I thought today I'd make a video about how to write a long essay, like an extended essay or a long research paper. So this video is good for anyone who's about to write a long essay or research paper, while I have some tips specifically for people writing the extended essay throughout. So if you're not in the IB and this is not relevant to you, you can still watch the video to get sort of an understanding of how to write a good long essay. So a question I get often and also want to talk a bit about first is if you can write your extended essay in any subject you like. And in the IB, technically yes you can, regardless of if the school offers it or if you take it. As long as it's in the IB curriculum, you can write your extended essay about it. However, I will not recommend it. I wrote in 2 subjects I did not take, and even though there were teachers at the school who taught that, I felt that I lacked a severe amount of knowledge. If you don't take the subject from before, it will be very difficult for you to come up with a natural flow in your essay. Things will be kind of forced, you'll have to take on a lot of other readings, and it will just be a lot more stressful than if you do it in a subject you already do. Along with that, I would also say that you should do it in a subject you either like or are very good at. If you don't like a lot of your subject, take the one you get the best grades in, because obviously you will have a lot more understanding of that subject than all the others. As soon as you found a subject that you want to write your extended essay in, make sure that you find a topic within this subject that's of interest to you. This is the one thing most people fail at when they write their extended essay or any long essay, is that they're not interested in what they write about. If you're not interested in it, you will not spend as much time necessary to get good grades. You will see it as another dreadful task instead of something fun. I loved working on my extended essay because it was a topic I was very interested and passionate about. So for me, it wasn't like a big, dreadful thing I had to do, but something fun that I looked forward to working on. And you can also get that, but make sure then that you select a topic that is interesting to you. Not your friends, not your mom, not your supervisor, you. When writing your extended essay, you will get a supervisor assigned from the school, often the teacher in the subject you've chosen to write about. Even if you're not in the IB, if you're writing a long essay, make sure you meet with a person who will grade and rate your essay, or your supervisor, early on and often. By keeping these official meetings, you will both stay more on track, you will feel more obligated to produce something, to bring something new to the meetings, and the other person will make sure that you're on the right track to have it in by the deadline. Next thing you want to do is you want to start your readings early. Now, not writing, not planning, not anything, just start reading early on. As soon as you've gotten assigned a subject, or as soon as you know you have to hand in a research paper or essay, make sure you start reading about it. The more you read, the more you'll know, of course, but also you will be more able to figure out, are there any specific areas in this field that you're interested in? Are there anything in specific you want to focus on? Because essays, research papers, and extended essays, they need to be extremely specific. Read the criteria and guide for your subject. For your extended essay, there will be a guide for writing an extended essay in that subject. So make sure you write it, you have an understanding of what they're looking for, make sure you understand the criteria. This also goes for research papers or essays, not just in the IB, that you know what's expected from you, what you should have included, and how it should be presented. Is there in a specific format? Things like that. Extremely important, and it will save you a lot of time to just read the guide before you start your writing process, or reading process as well, because then you don't have to go back and change everything later on. Make sure you read previous essays that have gotten good grades, of course, in the subject or field of study that you're writing your own essay in. By doing this, you will understand what's expected from you, what a good essay looks like on paper, if there's how the format is, and it will give you a better understanding of what you need to produce. Now it's time for you to make a rough outline with an estimate of the word count for every paragraph or topic you want to cover within your essay. By doing this before you start writing, not only do you have sort of a skeleton structure to follow, but you also will make sure that later on when you go back and check how many words you've dedicated to each area. You will most likely struggle with having too many words, as you will notice 4,000 words is not a lot. So if you have an upper word count or a low word count, make sure that the estimate that your outline covers that falls in between those two. As you read and write, make sure you note down important numbers, facts, and the sources you're gonna use. By getting this correctly the first time, you will save a lot of time when going through and editing, and also make sure you put in the sources immediately after a fact. It's very easy, you just click on the footnote button, it'll come up a small number after your sentence, and at the bottom of the page you type in the name of the whole book or article and everything like that. Make sure you source it, you quote the source properly. If you don't list your sources properly, it will be plagiarism, and no matter if you're in the IB or anywhere else, someone will believe that you have stolen the essay and you will fail, and it's a serious crime, so don't do that. So most important thing, write down your sources properly. There are a lot of websites that will help you do this. I will link a couple down below. There are also a lot of functions in Word. It took me a while to figure them out, but they are so helpful, and I swear to God, so many people did not do this correctly and they got in serious problem for it. So make sure you know your sources. Also, Wikipedia is not a source. Don't say that. That's stupid. If you absolutely have to use Wikipedia for something, make sure you use the source Wikipedia used and not Wikipedia as the source itself. Now, over to the actual writing process. I know a lot of people find this very dreadful, and it's very difficult to get started because it's such a big task to do, you know? What I like to do is set a timer for 10 or 15 minutes, and I will write as much as possible within that time. So that's not the time to edit, that's not the time to get everything correctly, that's the time you just write. So sort of make it a stream of consciousness. As soon as your mind goes from one thought to another, just write it down. You can edit it all later, but this is a great way to get started. Also, leading on to that, I try when I write to write as much as possible in one chunk. Or at least read what you've written previously before you move on. This is to get a better flow in the essay. For me, I often ended up writing a paragraph and then another paragraph later on, and nothing really made sense and wasn't really tied together. So by writing as much as possible in once, you will sort of get a more natural flow throughout the essay. Of course, you can go back and edit. If you write paragraph by paragraph, you can go back and later edit so it makes more sense put together. But it's more time efficient to write as much as possible in once. And the last thing I want to say to you guys is, if you often get distracted or find other things to do or find it difficult to write, is to go somewhere else and use another computer to write it. What I would do is I would go to my local library, I would sit down at the computers they had, and they didn't have Word or anything, they had some sort of, you know, Word-ish application program on their computer so I could write text, but it wasn't the same. But what I would basically do is I would go down there and I would sit down by the computer in the common areas and I would just write. So what I would do is I would sit down and I would sit for a designated time period. For instance, I would go there 2 hours or an hour before the library closed. I would agree with my mom to come pick me up later on, and I would sit and just write for that time. There's not a lot of time to be then distracted or anything like that. It was some sort of work, you know, going down to the library and sitting down and working, so I would get more words for the time. This is not great for final editing, as you will need to enter footnotes and that will be different and all of that. But for first drafts or very rough drafts or just loose paragraphs, as long as you make sure that you write in your sources to make it easier for you when you get back home and you work on your own computer, is a great method. Make sure you edit your essay properly. For this, I like to print out my own essay and sit down and read it and have a pen to sort of mark if there were any words, if there was any part that was sort of repetitive, if there was any sentence that didn't make a lot of sense, everything like that. I would also print it out and give it to, of course, my supervisor. My mom would read it, and I would have other people's opinion on how things made sense, because some things I had read, of course, a lot about, so things would make a lot more sense to me than they would to other people. So I would get someone else that didn't know a lot about the subject to read it, to make sure I got you know, I told about the basic things, but it wasn't too basic, so it was a good balance. So properly editing is key to writing a successful essay. Of course, stick to deadlines. They're there for a reason. So I think that was all, you guys. If I come up with anything more or remember anything more, I will make sure to write about it in the description box down below. If you have any further questions or requests, please also leave them down below as a comment. Make sure you give this video a thumbs up if you learned anything new or it was somewhat helpful to you. So thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye!